It's so interesting in this field because you really find that the more you are yourself, authentically yourself, the more you really go towards not the clients you think you should be working with or just taking everyone, but actually saying, here's the person that I want to work with, the easier it gets to understand that it's okay that another therapist might be full and you're not. It's okay that another therapist are getting these clients and you're not, because those just aren't your clients. It's not because there's not enough or the market's so saturated. Everyone's just so different.
This episode is brought to you by TherapyNotes, TherapyNotes.com. For the past 20 plus years, I've been working in the mental health field as a licensed therapist, private practice owner, coach, and consultant. And I've learned a lot the hard way, and I don't think you need to do the same. Hi there, I'm Gordon Brewer, and welcome to the Practice of Therapy podcast, part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your practice, or looking for fresh inspiration, this podcast is here to support you in your journey. Each week, we explore the real-world challenges and opportunities that come with building and growing your private practice. From marketing and money management to ethics, client care, and self-care, we cover it all. You'll hear from leading experts, seasoned clinicians, and innovative voices in the mental health and allied health fields, all sharing their insights and strategies to help you thrive in your practice. So let's jump in and get to today's episode of the Practice of Therapy podcast. Welcome to the podcast. This is episode number 441 of the Practice of Therapy podcast. I'm your host, Gordon Brewer. So glad you've joined me on this particular episode. And if you're here for the first time, I hope you'll take time to follow us or subscribe to the podcast wherever you might be listening to it. So I'm looking forward to you hearing from my guest today. She was just a delight to interview, and I really enjoyed getting to know her a little bit, and that was Tiana Tavakol. And Tiana and I talk about a lot of different things, but just really, as much as anything, what it's been like for her to go into private practice as someone that identifies as neurodivergent, and how she has really been able to grow her practice and really hone in on a specific niche. And so looking forward to you hearing from our conversation. And she was just such a delight to talk to and to interview for the podcast. That's one of the things about this podcast that I really enjoy is I get to meet so many great people across our professions, and it's just it really is just something that I enjoy very much. And so anyway, before we get to that, I'd love for you to go over to the website practiceoftherapy.com, and if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, one of the things that I've been focusing on this year is having more and more people that I work with individually. So if you'll go over to practiceoftherapy.com and just click on the link that says coaching and consulting, you can find out how to book a free 15-minute brainstorming session with me so we can talk about your needs and the places maybe that you feel stuck and maybe places that you'd like to get help with. And again, practiceoftherapy.com. And also, before we get to my conversation with Tiana, I'd love for you to hear more from our sponsor of the podcast, TherapyNotes.
Hi, this is Rachel, Gordon's podcast assistant, and I want to share the platform Gordon trusts for his own practice, TherapyNotes. TherapyNotes is the highest rated EHR, practice management, and billing software for mental health professionals. It's an all-in-one system for scheduling, notes, billing, and secure client communication. And if you ever need help, their 24/7 customer service is always just a call or email away. Their latest update, Therapy Fuel, uses AI to streamline documentation, generating progress notes, creating contact notes from client messages, and even summarizing client history forms, saving therapists hours every week. Are you ready to give it a try? Head to therapynotes.com, click Start My Free Trial, and use the code Gordon to get your first 2 months free. See why Therapy Notes is the most trusted EHR and the one Gordon chooses for his practice. Please enjoy the rest of the show.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome again to the podcast. And I'm looking forward to you hearing from Tiana Tavakol. Welcome, Tiana. Glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a really great and helpful podcast. So I'm just grateful to get to speak.
Yeah, it's glad to have you here. And Tiana and I were just having conversation before we started recording, and we're going to talk about some of the things that she's passionate about and some of the work that she does. But Tiana, tell folks a little bit more about yourself and how you've landed where you've landed.
Yeah. So I was not always a licensed therapist. I used to work in corporate for about 6 years before I career changed. And reason for that is being a child of immigrants. Really, the thing that's important in that way is financial stability. And so what was always driven to me is you need to be financially stable through your career or through higher education. And so I wasn't really thinking about what do I want to do. I was thinking about what I should do. But the more I got into that career, the more it was clear to me I don't love it. And I did my own therapy, which I'm sure a lot of us do, and come to this revelation that, oh, we do love psychology. And so I just made the change, went to Pepperdine, and I haven't regretted it at all. It's been so lovely to work in something where the things you have to learn are your passion. And so now I really have found my niche in late discovered autism and trauma and anxiety, and just working with that population along with children of immigrants to help create their own shifts and uncover what do they actually want, not what society has been telling them they should be doing. And also helping other therapists to have mindset shifts, because private practice can be so stressful, as someone who has my own as well. And so I love to support with that however I can.
That's awesome. I love your story, and that's such an important niche to be in. And yeah. And so it's just, yeah, it's really good. So I know one of the things we were just talking about were mindset shifts, and also just having more of an abundance mentality versus scarcity. So tell us what your thoughts around that and just how that's been helpful for you.
Yeah. So specifically, I guess, like going off the story, I noticed that, once I shifted out of corporate, which is all financial stability, into entrepreneurship and being a therapist, which is the opposite of financial stability, I had all these stories come up. I had a lot of things start coming up saying about, not having enough clients and always being worried about money and treating my business as something that was just really scary and I had to hold on so tight to. And the more I dug into it, the more I started realizing that this is scarcity. This is a mentality saying, which by definition is that there are not enough resources to go around. Everything is getting limited, and that you basically have to operate from a place of fear. And once I started to work on that and also start to notice that in my clients as well, I could see really big shifts both personally and clinically with their work, because it's moving away from what am I holding on to that I'm really scared to lose because there's not enough, to, okay, maybe practice is really challenging. Maybe there are times when there isn't enough money, but I have more control about this than I think. There's more resources than I think. And that helps to shift towards more of a place of growth and actually being able to expand yourself. And so seeing those changes has made me really passionate about making other people aware of when they might be operating in this space.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the things that I think is just so important in just a lot of different areas is the mindset that we have, and giving ourselves, as I like to say, giving ourselves permission to think about things differently and seeing the world through a little different lens around those things. And so that really is important, because there are plenty of clients to go around. And I think, like you've discovered, finding a specific niche, it's really helpful in defining what you do, and also gives you a little more security around things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, not saying you find the niche and everything comes flowing in, but it's so interesting in this field because you really find that the more you are yourself, authentically yourself, the more you really go towards not the clients you think you should be working with or just taking everyone, but actually saying, here's the person that I want to work with, the easier it gets to understand that it's okay that another therapist might be full and you're not. It's okay that another therapist are getting these clients and you're not, because those just aren't your clients. It's not because there's not enough or the market's so saturated. Everyone's just so different. And like you said, once you figure that out, it seems like it kind of helps to find your people.
Well, I think too, I took a look at your website. You've got a beautiful website, by the way.
Thank you so much.
And so, and we'll have links to that here in the show notes and stuff, but for people to look at it. But, your messaging is just very clear about the types of people that you work with. And so how did you come to that, and how did you learn to do that?
Really appreciate it. That was just updated in the last month. So I'm just, for context too, I'm about a year and a half into my practice. So I'm a newly person in this. And the first year was a hot mess. The first year, I'm sure other therapists can relate. You are just getting everything together. Like you are just you're just putting up a website, you're advertising yourself, you're finding every possible thing, SEO, Instagram. But second year, which is now, it's more, okay, how do I clean this up? Like, how do I actually start deciding what marketing to focus on, what my messaging is going to be? Because things have slowed down a bit in that, like just rushing to get it together. I personally, one of the things I had to work on with my scarcity was investing in my business, because it's this idea, right, of if I spend this money, like, what if I don't have it right now? It's so scary. But then abundance is more thinking, if I invest it now, it'll come back later. And so I chose to invest with getting an SEO coach to help me out to understand what SEO is, giving me some good basics, and also for my messaging, getting a marketing program that was going to walk me through, how do I write copy? How do I actually target a niche? I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name of things. Okay. So Confident Copy was really helpful program for me to be able to do it by Ann Walker. And then Natalie Moore for SEO, she was really helpful as well. And so doing that has helped me, because it gave me step-by-step processes of how to write, and also helped me get clear on who do I actually want to work with. And turns out it's those people who are those anxious adults that feel a lot of emotions and always feel too much and like they're a burden, but want to work on that. And usually we work with people that we have a similar life experience to and have learned how to navigate out of. So that's been my happy place.
Yeah. It's not to get too far off on a tangent, but one of the things, and you're not, I'm about to take us down a rabbit hole. But one of the things is that I've learned over the years is that you get a lot more credibility with clients by using a bit of self-disclosure, of just sharing a little bit of your own journey, and people really connect with that. And I think that comes through in your website, which,
Thank you so much. That means a lot. And absolutely, I feel like that's really scary as therapists, as I'm sure you know, and others know in graduate school, and they're saying, and I know this generation is changing a lot in how they come into therapy, but still be a blank slate. I was in a psychodynamic practice for practicum. And so a lot of it was blank, don't show anything, don't share anything. But the best rapport I've had is when, with careful disclosure, I can relate. I totally know how hard it is to have to set a boundary for the first time in your life. It is terrifying, but at the same time, it gets easier. And I can do that from experience. And also being a client myself has been incredibly helpful.
Yeah, and that's such an important piece, I think, with everything, is really getting into your own skin and really being comfortable with who you are, and also, like you've mentioned, is doing our own work and just really focusing in on that. That is so crucial, I think, for so many people.
Yeah, it should be required, but I feel like being in therapy as a therapist is incredibly important. And then also, like you said, in terms of being able to disclose, also that helps to know, when am I disclosing from a place of this is going to be helpful versus this is my own protective parts coming up or something coming up where I'm feeling impulsively like I should share. So it helps me be able to disclose, but ethically and in ways that are helpful.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. One of the things about your practice I noticed that's unique and I think a lot of people would be interested in this, you're strictly online with your practice. And so that must have been a challenge to start getting people to come to your website and finding clients because you're located in the Midwest and
Yes.
you're licensed in two different states.
Yes, that is a very good observation. Yeah, on one hand, I am a COVID-born therapist, meaning I was in my first year of grad school was in 2020, going to 2021, totally online. My practicum was online the whole 2 years. So I didn't even see clients in person until my associateship. And then I saw a lot of clients in person. But um, I definitely can see the challenge. It seems like in this day, in person is what a lot of people are wanting. And I totally understand that. And at the same time, what has been surprising is by focusing in neurodivergence, there are a lot of clients who seem to prefer the format the same way that I do, because we get to be in our own spaces and we get to have our own sensory tools. And that's something I love to send my new clients, a little gift of sensory toys and fidgets, because the space is still grounding, even if we're not in person. So it's more like it's given me a challenge on how do I be creative about this? How do I still make the space comfortable for them? How do I stay as grounded as I can be, being in my own home and having a separation? And now how do I learn online marketing? Because local marketing is not going to be as much of a thing here. So I think it's just helped me to ask, what can I do differently so that I can optimize on being an online practice?
What did you find as the biggest challenges when you first got started and having an online practice?
I think lack of demand. I think the demand is really in person right now in a lot of ways. But also, as we all have experienced, grad school doesn't necessarily teach us marketing, especially online marketing, right? And so it was learning how to be a business, like an entrepreneur in some sense. And so learning, like that's why SEO, learning how do I utilize SEO? How do I utilize a social media presence in a way that's ethical, and also networking? Like, how do I network through online space? So it was all these questions that I had that I just had to start diving into and learning. And I haven't mastered them in any way, but I'm still getting better at them. And so I think the challenge was mostly being very much a beginner. Like at that point, having all the hours and the licensure, but I'm now a business owner. And that was totally new to have to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. What have you found that has worked best for you in this environment? Yeah.
I think it's what a lot of people seem to find successful, which is creating real relationships. I am incredibly grateful for the community that I have, both from my grad school, from when I used to be on the board with LA Camped, from just so many, from the online social media community. There has been so many amazing therapists, and I found that actually finding people that we really get along just as people, not even just as clinicians, that's where I get a lot of my referrals. It's so much about, okay, I have a client who needs a referral. I like this person. I trust that they're going to do good work, so I'm going to send them their way. And so the referrals go both ways. So honestly, relationships have been possible to build online through a lot of intention, and that's been strong. SEO too is also very helpful, but honestly, relationships have been the strongest factor. I don't know if that's what you've experienced as well, or just different.
Yeah, it really does come down to the relationships you foster and you develop with people, and being able to make those connections and that's really, I think about working this kind of an example in working with clients who are maybe struggling with trying to find a job or something like that. Nearly most everybody finds a job, not necessarily by filling out an application, not that doesn't happen, but they get a job, or the significant ones, by making connections with people. It's who knows who and all of that kind of thing. And so it really is about those one-to-one connections.
Exactly. I was just at an alumni talk for my grad school, and one of the other therapists that was in that talk and as an alumni was mentioning how she got a job because she went to an LA Camped event, happened to meet someone who then connected her to a job. It can be just like that. And I think that's what's so great about online, is you really still can do that online. It's just different in how you're going to approach it.
Yeah. And I think I saw that you've done several speaking events and that sort of thing. And what sort of topics do you tend to talk about? And because that's a whole way of kind of diversifying income and that sort of thing.
Exactly. And that's what's beautiful about this field is you really don't get bored because there's so many different things you can do. But with speaking events, I've been a trauma specialist from the beginning until now. I've only recently started going more into the late diagnosed autism. So that's a lot of my approaches, my methods, my knowledge. And so my topics so far have mostly been trauma based. I'll usually find that people are interested in the nervous system and how trauma is showing up for them as adults. And that has been different contexts. Some of the contexts have been in corporate environments, such as, in the workplace with your coworkers, your bosses, remote positions, and how that can bring up a lot of insecurity, layoffs. So things like that. It's also been how it can show up. Recently, I did one in Chicago that was about how it can show up as your personality, how all these survival responses, fight, flight, fawn, etc., can show up, from people who flake last second on Hangouts or gather everyone around to be mad at the person who pissed them off and send them a bunch of screenshots as a fight. So things like that in different ways. And I have one coming up with lectures on tap in September or October. And that one's going to be about friendship breakups. So that's going to deviate quite a bit. But from the most part, it's been trauma.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Just friendship breakup. That's a really cool topic, I guess. I mean, we don't really think about that, but yeah, it's all happened to all of us. Yeah, at some point, it's kind of like, what is it they say? You have friends for a reason, friends for a season, and then friends for a lifetime. And so I don't know if you've ever heard that before.
I haven't heard that, but I love that phrase.
Yeah,
that's really
so
good.
different. Yeah. And so, sometimes friends just don't last, and that's okay.
This Monday.com ad was created by a team of people and AI agents. Reese, our content agent, wrote the copy based on our best practices, like mentioning Monday.com 3 times. That was the second. Johnny, our coordination agent, built the timeline and kept everyone aligned. Olivia, our human creative director, stayed in the loop. Because agents are great, but they don't always know when a joke lands. She had one note: tell listeners it only takes minutes to build an agent. So, minutes. Create your own AI agent today on Monday.com.
Want $1,000 weight loss medication for $50? It all starts with Rose's free GLP-1 insurance check. Just upload your insurance card to see if you have coverage, then relax. Over 200,000 people have qualified for a $50 copay through Ro. Go to ro.co/health. Half of covered patients have a $50 per month copay or less for medication, plus $145 monthly Ro membership fee. Deductible cost may apply and final cost varies by insurance plan. For safety information about GLP-1 medications, including boxed warning, go to ro.co/safety, RX only.
A burst pipe, a dead water heater, the AC calling it quits. Who do you call? HomeServe is an easy way to handle unexpected home repairs with plans covering stuff basic homeowners insurance usually won't. Instead of scrambling for a contractor, you make one call to get the repair process started. Join the millions of customers who trust HomeServe right now. Go to homeserve.com/podcast for 50% less your first year. That's homeserve.com/podcast. Savings compared to renewal price. Void in Florida.
Exactly. I'm still gathering all my information on that presentation, but from the little that I've looked at, it's so interesting because music is not categorized by friendship breakups. You have romantic songs. So that's, and all the research so far has been saying that it's just such an understudied area. So it's it's a topic that's ripe for exploration. And that's something that I love bringing to speaking engagements is you can really go in these creative directions and just find a topic that sounds exciting and go deep and then be able to bring that to people. And then now have material that you can use with clients, that you can use for other speaking events, use for social media. But friendship breakups is fascinating. And I'm sure we all see that with our clients and help them with it. So just bringing it to a larger audience.
Right. Well, one question that comes to mind, I would imagine that it's pretty awesome to work with people that are late diagnosed, neurodivergent, and autistic, and what that does for them of being able to define, okay, this is what's happening kind of thing. You want to say more about that and just... Yeah,
I would love to. I'm ADHD myself, self-diagnosed. There's a lot of things about assessments that I support and some things that right now it's just not accessible to me. But when it comes to working with it, it is such a beautiful place because most people coming to therapy around that have just discovered either by themselves or through assessment that they have this diagnosis and want to understand what that means for them. Like, what is their autism or ADHD or whatever it is, and what is just them being a person. And so starting to differentiate those things. And also wondering why therapy hasn't worked for them for the last few years, right? Like, why are none of the coping skills working? So actually getting really specific in finding tools that work for their brain is very fun, because we get to be super creative, learning their specific sensory needs, their specific boundaries. So that's really enjoyable. And at the same time, it comes with grief, right? Because imagine having 20 years, 30 years, 40, however long, where nobody figured this out. And most of the time, these people are coming in because they figured it out themselves. So having to think for that long, there's something wrong with you, you're broken, you're just weird. That's also a really deep belief that comes with things like trauma that get worked on as well. But there is a lot of grief along with some validation.
Yeah, having worked with a few people in my career that identify as autistic or neurodivergent, it's really cool to be able to talk with them about how they see the world through a different lens, and just being able to accept that. And I think for therapists working with those folks to really get curious about how they see things. And that's fascinating to me.
It is, because I, as someone who's neurodivergent myself, like, you start learning that every brain truly is so different, as it's so different in how they see things, the rules they have about the world, what they're noticing. Sometimes it's incredibly impressive because of the level of sensory perception and sensitivity in the nervous system allows them to feel sometimes and see things that others may not. I think it helps me personally to think outside the box constantly, because there's no box for them. For them, they have their own rules, their own way of being. And that is incredibly exciting, and also means that a lot of the work is figuring out what exactly those rules are that they've been operating by. What are these perceptions? Because a lot of times they're operating very automatically, and they don't actually understand, why did they just blow up because this thing happened? And it might be, maybe they have expectations around people following a schedule that they had in their own head that no one knew about.
Yeah, that's cool. That's so cool. That's so cool. Tiana, I know we've got to be mindful of our time, and there's so much we could talk about. And this is just fascinating for me. Tell folks how they can get in touch with you and maybe find out more about your work, and maybe even how they can refer to you.
Yeah, of course. So if anyone would like to connect, learn more, just reach out for therapy or referrals, you can find me at uncovering-you.com. I also share educational content about trauma and autism and mindset in general on my Instagram at Uncovering You Therapy. And I have a mailing list you can sign up for on my website, which I will start giving a lot more free resources and content in the next few months.
Yeah, awesome. And we'll have links here in the show notes and the show summary for people to get to that easily. But so, Tiana, what are any parting thoughts before we close things out?
Yeah, because this is a private practice podcast, I would say, for therapists in general, there's so much pressure to have this together, to have enough clients, to be seen as if you're doing well, seeing that other people are full and comparing, especially with social media. And just to remember that a lot of people who are struggling aren't speaking about it, that most people's experiences are a lot more common than they think. And just to have self-compassion and grace that people are probably doing a lot better than they think. And I just love to promote that message as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, is that, one of the things that I hear thrown around a lot is this whole concept of imposter syndrome. And I really encourage people to, if you're in this field and you've gone through the graduate school and licensure and all of that, a lot of stuff, and you're very capable of doing this kind of work. And so I wouldn't listen to that little demon voice that tells us otherwise. Yeah.
Exactly. And if anyone wants to do speaking events, exactly what you said, I think sometimes we think that we don't know as much as things, but you do one speaking event and you notice you're actually an expert compared to people who didn't do 3,000 hours, who didn't go to grad school. You really start to realize you know a lot more than you think. Yeah. So if you're scared of getting yourself out there, I'd actually say just get yourself out there, and your confidence will improve just from one event. And you are pretty good at what you do.
Yeah. And it's that internal dialogue that gets us in trouble. And
absolutely.
Sure. Tiana, thanks so much for being on the podcast. And this is just a delightful conversation, and hopefully we'll have another one here soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Well, a big thanks to Tiana for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed talking with her, and I think you probably picked up on that as you listened, but do check out her website. There are links here in the show notes and the show summary. And like I said in the podcast, her website is just a beautiful website and done such a great job in making her messaging really clear. And that's something that I think we have to really pay attention to. One of the things I do when I do consulting with people is to review their website and really kind of give some tips on maybe some things they can do differently as far as making it so that it really connects with people, particularly your potential clients that are within your niche and the people that you enjoy working with. So kudos to Tiana and her website and what it looks like, because she did a great job with that. And also big thanks to our sponsor of the podcast, TherapyNotes. As far as I'm concerned, they're the leading electronic health record system for mental health providers. They're who I use in my practice, and absolutely impressed with all the things that they continue to do to improve their product and improve the platform. It really is a one-stop shop when it comes to running your private practice in terms of the clinical side and making appointments and collecting payments and filing insurance claims, and also your documentation. They make it really easy with their Therapy Fuel feature. So be sure and check them out. Go to practiceoftherapy.com/therapy notes. And if you'll use the coupon code or the promo code, just Gordon, Gordon, you can try them out for 2 months for free. So it's a good chance to kick the tires on that particular platform. So take care, folks. We've got a lot of great new episodes coming up, and some really great guests lined up. I'm really excited about the way this year is going and the people I've been able to have the privilege of interviewing. So take care, folks. You have been listening to the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer, part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. Please visit us at practiceoftherapy.com for more information, resources, and tools to help you in starting, building, and growing your private practice. And if you haven't done so already, please sign up to receive the free Private Practice Startup Guide at practiceoftherapy.com. And to find more great podcasts like this one, please visit the Psychcraft Network at psychcraftnetwork.com. The information in this podcast is intended to be accurate and authoritative concerning the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, or producers are rendering legal, accounting, or clinical advice. And if you need help in these areas, be sure to find the right professional to help you with these things.